What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is HUD Wednesday night. Sixers, they got somebody. We'll talk about if we like them or not. And we got a lot to go over. Giddy up.
I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Welcome in, everybody. This is HUD Wednesday nights, only on HUD Radio. Every Wednesday, we are brought to you by our good friends over at Baggio's Bread. Go check them out in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Home of the best stuffed bread, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. You name it, 10% off. You mentioned HUD Radio. As always, we got Greg Milwakovic, Luke Brown. I'm Tom Arnone. Sixers. Yeah, I mean, Phillies, we're going to get into Sixers. Phillies, another series win in Detroit. Take 2 or 3 in Detroit. Check another one off. We'll talk six. We're going to talk Sixers. We're going to talk Sixers. We're going to talk Phillies later on in the show. First round of the NBA draft's going on. We'll react live to that and break down everything that's happened so far. And the last 2 picks that have come off the board ties into our poll question and our main topic at hand. Sixers draft analysis. You agree with Daryl Morey's decision with the 16th overall pick? Agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. Join the conversation. You agree with it? Because you didn't deal it. I think we all felt like that was going to happen, right? We all probably felt like that was going to happen, that they weren't going to keep this pick. So they end up making the selection. It's Jared McCain, the guard out of Duke. And he's tough, really good three-point shooter, good defender, little small per se. I mean, he's 6'2.5". He's not like that small, but another small guard. And Dawn connects on the board, right? Who's a senior, a shooter, a slasher, a wing guy. Now, how great of a defender is he? I don't know. I don't have that NBA answer. Makes sense? I don't have the NBA answer. But really athletic, can do a lot of things. McCain, sort of the better defender, probably. And a really good three-point shooter and a freshman. And the toughness, all that, I agree with it. If they feel like he can come in and play right away and he's tough like that and he can shoot the 3-ball right away at the NBA level, then I don't mind it. But I'm not stashing for down the road here, right? Or that player gets moved in 20 minutes from now.
Yeah, right.
But right now, I agree with it. I'm good with it. You need really good guard play, right? And you need toughness at the guard position too. You need guys, especially with Maxey not being a great defender. You need another guard who will get physical and defend. That's it. So, could you went the other way? Okay, you could have went Dawn. I'm not gonna get all upset about that. It's probably who I'd rather have. But I got no problem with this pick, so I'm not going to come on here and disagree with his decision. If there isn't a trade to make, you just don't make one to make one. That's what bad GMs do. So if that offer is not out there that you like, take it, run with it, and maybe you got an asset to move down the road, or maybe you get a really good player in your hands. I'll agree. What do you guys say?
I'll disagree. But it's not an aggressive disagree, because if you told me before the draft that Jared McCain is their pick, I'd be extremely happy. I get it. People aren't so happy with the finger painting and all that kind of crap that's coming out. I understand it. The only thing I'll say is when you're drafting, especially later in the lottery or in the 20s or wherever you're picking, where you're contending in a playoff team, you have to select somebody where you can say, all right, what is this kid great at? And while my pick would have been Dalton Connect, I'll tell you right now, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to be an above-average three-point shooter in the NBA. No doubt about it. The 2 things that translate from college to NBA in terms of shooting, high release point, quick release. And on top of the quick release, he has range on top of it. This guy is going to be a 3-point demon off of Embiid, when they trap the double teams. He can play that, quick give and go with Embiid. He'll be shooting 30-footers all day long. I don't think it's a pick made to play with Maxey day one. And I'm fine with that because he can come off your bench and still contribute day one. So because of that, I'm happy with the pick. I would have picked Dalton Connect. I think he's a very good perimeter shooter. He's a create your own shot guy, which I think we need one more of those, especially on the wing. But I'm still happy with the pick because you're talking about a guy who does something at a high level, and that's what we need.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick to get into this, Brian, we appreciate the super chat. He said, draft a damn TikToker. What the F? He about to get memed like crazy. I'll be honest with you guys. I could care. I as clear as possible. I give a rat's ass what you're painting, what you're doing, what you're TikToking about. If you show up on game night and you're diving on the floor and you're playing great defense and you're producing, right? Like, I care less if you get pedicures, manicures, right? Something's going up your rear. I don't care. Makes sense? It doesn't. None of that matters. What matters to me is he tough, right? On game days. The other stuff can look soft. I don't care about the other stuff, right? If you come and you play hard, what does that matter? That might be a guy we end up loving, and everybody around the city's, getting manies. I don't know, but I'm not going to get. That's not going to a reason to not draft a guy.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's a lot of other reasons, like TikTok and nail painting, right? Per se, or not reasons to say, oh, I'm out on a guy. No, because his play dictates he's physical, he's tough, right? So his play makes up for being undersized and a manny. So come on, win-win. And again, I probably would have went Connect too. I'm just not going to disagree with the poll because I think it's a good pick. It's a good pick. I go with the guy that I know probably could play day one for me, then maybe the guy that might need more time. We'll find out. Maybe he doesn't. Because like you said, if you can shoot, you can shoot. So if you can shoot and you get open looks and you can shoot it, maybe he doesn't need as much time as we think. What do you say, Greg?
Yeah, I could have also done without, with a shirt underneath the jacket too, right? That adds to the list of, checks that I don't like. No, I'm just kidding. It is an interesting look, though. I've seen a bunch of them do it this year. No shirt under the sports jacket. Like, come on, let's go here. I agreed. I'm with you guys pretty much all across the board, right? I agree with the pick, right? I was always a make the pick type of guy, so I agree with the pick. I don't want to hate on McCain, right? Because I think it is a good pick. I think Luke stated as well. In a vacuum, if you said McCain or Connect are there in this pick, I think we're all ecstatic with it, right? I agree with you. I would have rather gone Connect. We talk about so often in the NBA how hard it is to win young, right? And so with Connect being a little older, I know it's probably a knock across the league on him.
We doing this again tonight? You know what I mean?
What?
Like, no, the funny part, like, winning young, right? Remember that argument? With KZ.
Yeah, right. But Connect being the veteran, like we said, he is a good three-point shooter. We know he's not afraid of that big shot if he's called to do that, right, throughout his time. And I'm not saying McCain is, right? I like what McCain can bring to the table. I think you guys have both hit on it. He's a really athletic, defender, and he could shoot the rock. And we know in the NBA, you need guys that can shoot the rock. So I agree with the poll. I probably, like you guys, probably would have went the other way, but I'm not going to sit here and say McCain was a bad pick.
Well, I mean, you're always wrong.
He probably dropped 50 on Syracuse. That's why Wills thinks he stinks.
Listen, I don't think he stinks. I probably would have went the other. Like I said, I probably would have went the other way, but I don't disagree with the decision. I just don't disagree with the decision. So, I'm not going to get all up in arms over a guy that we haven't seen play at the NBA level either. And we know with pick 16 what we were walking into.
Yeah.
Right? What we're walking into. So, that tells me they're bringing Oubre back. They're bringing some of these wing guys back, probably Batum, right? That's what they're thinking. So that's probably why they went the other way with another guard, because they're probably not bringing a guy like Melton back, right? So that's probably why they're looking at it. That's my guess. What do you guys think? You think that's the direction they're going?
I think everyone should start, and I'm not the guy to listen to because I said last week people should start buying Paul George jerseys, but as of today, I think we might as well just start buying Brandon Ingram jerseys. I think that's probably the route they're going because He fits a lot of what they're looking for in terms of a wing. He's not my favorite guy. He's not my number 1, 2, or maybe even 3 choice. But what I will say, he's probably going to cost you a ton less than all these other guys. He's a wing player who can get his own shot, which is what they're missing in the playoffs. And the good side, the bright side of it is that if it busts and it doesn't work out, he's only on a 1-year deal. So you can start over and do this whole song and dance with cap space and blank canvas. We can do the whole thing all over again if we really want to. So I think while it's not my first choice or my second choice or even my third choice, I think that this is the route that they're probably going to go because it's the easier route right now. But I do agree with you. Lowry and Batum will be back. I'm not sure about Oubre, but I think that those 2 guys will probably come back.
Well, they got a lot of spots to fill. So, I mean,
yeah.
There's going to be some turnover, and I still think they're working on a move. I still believe Jimmy Butler is going to be a Philadelphia 76er when this is all said and done. I still believe it. I still believe that's the guy. I want to believe that that's the guy because that's the guy. That's the guy. Through all the names and Ingrams and marketings and blah 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 blah. Are we trying to win? You see what the Knicks are doing? Are we trying to win or are we just trying to sell tickets? Because if we're trying to win, go get a guy that's playoff tough then. Go. He's the only one out there that's playoff tough, that's even remotely available. Back up the brink or whatever needs to get dealt. Go ahead. Go ahead. And if you disagree with that, check your beanbag at this point because of what's out there. Check away, Greg. Check it twice because there's nothing else out there.
I can't even see it anymore.
Oh my God. Cut what out? Duke, he's got bad knees just like Embiid. Because he had one knee injury, and now he's got. We want Paul George. You want Brandon Ingram, who's hurt every year. Who do you want? Lauri Markkanen? What Lauri Markkanen done? The warrant being like, that's going to get us over the top. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm saying, what has he done? Are we trying to win, or what looks good in NBA 2K? I want winners. I'm tired of it. You all get out there and PG me and everybody other name. I'll take PG. Like, I'm not going to be like flip out.
I flip out.
I want Jimmy. It's the one that got away. Make it right, and let's run it back. Let's go, because those 3 guys can win you something. Jimmy can win with nobody. And let him run himself out of here after 2 or 3 years. I don't care. 2 or 3 years, it's over anyway. Let's go win 2. You want to be able to play with Boston and New York in your own conference, right? Who out there you're going to put your reputation on? Who else out there you're going to put your reputation on that guy can get us over the hump? Who?
I'm with you. I just don't think that he's that available right now. I would pick him over Ingram and Paul George in 2 minutes, but I just don't think they're giving him up that easy the more stuff comes out. But who knows? We live in a different world all the time in the NBA. Guys are divas and they come out and they think one way and they wake up another way, and we'll see. We could live in a total different world.
And some guys are saying, PG. Hard no, right?
Well, now, like the advantage of getting Paul George at first was that you didn't have to give up your draft capital. It was, let's use that cap space that we've all been gloating over. Let's just get him. Right. Well, now the more stuff comes out, he might accept that option. So not only are you going to have to pay him a max contract, you're going to have to give stuff up to get him, like you would Brandon Ingram, like you would Jimmy Butler. I'm good. Like, I don't need to do the Paul George experiment. If I'm trading things to also pay him a max contract, he's watching film on podcasting, I'm good. That's all I need to hear. I'm good.
Yeah, and listen, I'm just yelling for Jimmy because that's the only name that's been mentioned that I feel like that's better than the other options. That's the best option of the options that was even remotely reported on at the beginning of all this, right? the other guys are like, okay, they're backup plans. They're like, all right, we'll take them. All right, we're better, right? That's how they all look. We're better. I mean, at this point, I'll take anybody. I don't want to. I prefer not leaving the night with just a guard from Duke. I prefer to leave the night with okay, we're starting to build out a roster here, and I like the pick. So I don't have a problem with it. Might hate it in a year, but or 2 years.
I feel like it needs to be addressed though. This cap space talk. This is completely Daryl Morey's fault, and I guess our fault as fans for falling for it. He is ridiculously behind the curve with this whole cap space thing. I understand why people are upset that New York got Mikal Bridges and that they also re-signed OG Anunoby. They can do that because of the way that they structured their team. They can give up enough assets to bring those guys in. You're looking at a team with us. All we have is this cap space, and all we've talked about all offseason was the cap space. But now you're looking at an opportunity where it seems like nothing's there. So that's talking about a guy who's the head of your team making all these moves. He's behind the curve. He thought that all these guys would be available and he would have all this opportunity to sign a guy like Paul George. One, he doesn't even want to come here. There's no rumors or anything out there saying that it's likely he's going to come here. The other thing is you can value expiring contracts. The Knicks got Mikal Bridges through a trade partly because they had an expiring contract that they valued in Bogdanovich that helped him in the short term. Sure, he got hurt, but in the long term, he got them a trade piece. That's what guys do now. They opt into their contracts and they get traded. No one hits free agency anymore. This isn't 2016. So for this guy to come out here and not want to make a move in the last deadline and gloat over and over and over again about this offseason and the cap space they're going to have and all this, who's there? Who?
Not many left. You're right. You're absolutely right. He absolutely misjudged what was going on.
It's unacceptable.
Right? And yeah, I mean, when you think about how, and you're right, it's almost like he's back in time, right? Luke, you brought up 2016. It's probably the last time he was actually, ahead of the curve in being a GM, right? He was making those moves that everybody then reacted to, as opposed to now being reactionary to the moves that are going on.
I just don't know why we're like, it's not over yet, right?
It's
why
not, but they,
but no, there's no, you think it's that easy to manage the cap and decide when you're going to be able to clear it like that?
No, but it is easy to sit back and look.
But hold on. No, let's be fair.
Agents.
Let's be fair here for a second. Tobias comes off your books when he comes off your books, Luke, right? So when that money clears out as a big nut, okay, when that money starts to clear out and then it starts to clear out, you can't time that up to when guys are going to be free agents. There's no way of timing your cap space up to be perfect to say this is the year, unless you break it all down. Unless you just start completely over and wipe your books clean.
Well, that's basically what they did. That's what.
But they didn't though because that's what they had. Because they're one of their max contracts was coming up.
Right, but my point is that you can, however you want to point it with Buddy Hield and the moves that they made, they punted last deadline. They did openly punted, and you can talk about Buddy Hield and how it was a good move at the time, and I agree with you. But they were out on DeJounte Murray. They didn't want to bring in OG Anunoby because all they talked about was and Pascal Siakam. All they wanted was the blank canvas and the cap space. And like I said, right when that stuff happened that's not how it works anymore. This isn't 2016 where LeBron's opting out and Kevin Durant's opting out and there are going to be unrestricted free agents. No, they are going to opt into their contracts, and it's going to take expiring contracts to trade for those kinds of guys. That's it. Bojan Bogdanovich was traded along with draft capital for Mikal Bridges. They made a move that helped him in the short term and also helped him in the long term. We didn't do that because we were so worried about getting guys that had to be on expiring deals, and we couldn't trade for a guy and give up enough assets to make a move to help us last year when we were this close with an Embiid lingering injury, all that kind of stuff, to beating the Knicks in a playoff series last year and making a run. That's where I'm like, you can't punt a season because of that. And now we sit here with what opportunity?
But maybe it's not. Hold on. Let's take a step back, because we talked about this for weeks. Maybe it's not the one opportunity to land the other star. Maybe the opportunity to build out a legitimate NBA roster and something that you can put around your guys and build around those guys. Maybe that's the option that we talked about in weeks past, right? Like maybe the option is to say, you know, we're going to go get really good players. We're going to go get a lot of really good players that are going to define roles here, etc. Right? Maybe that's the way they're going to go, because it's not like it's over. It's just starting. So they're not tied to, because you have a blank canvas, you have to go max money a guy. They're tied to do whatever they want. So maybe we're not seeing it yet. I'm just playing devil's advocate to the easy of like, come on, Daryl, let's go. Right? Like, what are you doing here? This is a total mistake. We don't know if it is yet.
No,
we don't know.
No, to your point too, you know, there's other names out there that could drop, right? Like Luke's been talking about going and getting like legitimate NBA winning players and not going out and spending everything on a Jimmy. You know, Contavious Caldwell-Pope is a guy who very well may be out there at this point. You know what I mean? There's other names. You know, we've been hearing Paul George, we've been hearing Jimmy Butler, and all these other guys. So you just kind of expect, you know, a Brandon Ingram, somebody like that, OG Anunoby, all these guys. We've talked about them ad nauseum at this point because that's been the main names, because they're at the top of the board. But all of them are getting max deals. Like you talked about it, Luke. We don't need to max another guy. You can go out and get another guy, like really good role players here. So I don't think this is like the be all end all. I don't mind the draft pick they made either. I mean, the guy could shoot. You know, he's done a lot of things at a really young age with a lot of room to develop. So I like the idea with him next to Maxey, you know, at this point. But, you know.
Jay Billis calls him a winner, right? According to Jay Billis, a winner, a leader, and one of the best shooters in the entire draft class.
Every channel you put on, everybody said this is the type of kid in this draft or any draft that you want in your locker room. You know who they said that about a couple years ago? Tyrese Maxey when he got taken. So, again, I look at this kid as far as his pick as being, if he has the work ethic of a Maxey and he can produce, you know, and show year over year that kind of an improvement, then like in a quick period of time, Maxey did it within 2 years, and he's still growing. You know, it's kind of on brand for Daryl as far as what he picks. You know,
well, I mean, think about that, Chrome. Like, then you have, like, I think Luke said it early on before you were here, but, you know, then you have, you know, your backcourt for the future.
Absolutely.
So there's like two ways to look at it, right? Like, it's not like Maxey's at the end of his career. Joel is. So they don't feel like the other side of this. They don't feel like their window is closed. They feel like it's like, well, it's cracked because we still have Embiid, who's the best player in basketball when he's on the court, but we have a young rising star on our hands too. So that's like a fun problem to have in a way, totally. Like where you're like, well, we don't have to be all in because we got a young player. We don't have to trade pick 16 to sell out. No, let's go get who we think's the best on the board, right?
No,
let's go that route. Like we don't have to go that, we got to get PG. We have to get a star. We have to go that route. They have the way to go both ways. We're trying to win, but if Embiid ain't healthy, we ain't winning shit anyway. But we're also looking toward the future here too.
Yeah, and real quick,
bro.
Giannis, and the thing is, like, you look at a Joe, you look at Giannis, you look at Jokic, like, they're more of, like, the special scenario at this point, right? The whole league is driven. Most teams are built around guards' wings. So, you know, when Joel kind of phases out, the identity of this team is going to change. So, again, I mean, they have cap space. They're still going to be able to make moves. You know, to everything you said before, Luke, over the last month, this should be playing more into your hands. I know there's certain guys you wanted that are kind of off the board at this point. But again, I'm seeing what some of these guys are getting traded for at this point too.
Right. Yep.
And the one thing with Daryl Morey that we know is if he don't like a deal, he's not making it. He's not going to let anybody make him feel backed into a corner. And more often than not, he finds a way to get to the end game or get to the ultimate goal that he's looking for. So it's night one of the draft. I don't know why, like free agency hasn't even started. The opt-in period hasn't even ended yet. So again, some of the names we've heard, you hit panic mode right away. But I just don't see the need to do that, because I think I credit you, Luke, because you kind of talked me off the ledge of, if we don't get Paul George or we don't get Jimmy Butler, it's the end of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now you're panicking. You know what I mean? Now you're in the panic tree.
You know
what happened here, Luke?
Well, I'm not in the panic. What I'm saying is
You're
that
in the
there-
panic tree.
I feel like
No,
you broke me
there-
in, and now you're like you're
Yeah.
to the edge of the cliff, and you're like, I got you. We're gonna, and then now you're like, here you go.
the problem that I have is that they sent out a message that the cap space, that's all they said. That's all they talked about was the cap space, the cap space, the cap space. And I look at who's a free agent, and you bring up KCP. I like him a lot, especially if they end up trading for a guy like Ingram. I think he'd be a very good fit next to him.
I love it.
3-and-D guy. I would love him next to Ingram and Beta Max. I think he's a good fit.
Good.
But you're not talking about guys that are like really pushing the needle to be that guy that they've talked about with all this cap space. That's my problem, is that, and you can say whatever you want.
Well,
They're gonna go to plan B. They got caught. You got caught because all you talked about was a star and the cap space and a blank canvas. And now here you are. Oh, it's plan A. Now we got to go to plan B, and now it's C. It's coming right in front of our eyes. It's just happening right in front of us. Normally it doesn't happen like that.
Martian said Luke is spiraling. He's not.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not saying. Listen, I'm not saying Luke's wrong at all. Right? I'm not saying he's wrong. What I'm saying about the whole situation is it's not over, and you still have things you can do. Like let's when the canvas is filled, let's crush it. Right? Like until I know, I ain't gonna sit here and get all worked up on what you didn't do yet. I'm gonna wait and see, and then I will smoke you when needed. Right now, he hasn't given me a reason to smoke him yet. He hasn't. Talk to me in a month from now, and we're like, oh, right? Then I'll listen. I'll get hot, but like I'm not gonna sit here and through his tenure crush Daryl Morey consistently. When this is who people wanted. This is who people on these airways were fired up about, okay? And then we're going to crush because of what he was given. Actually, he's almost a genius. He got rid of two guys that nobody wants and got a blank canvas out of it.
And got assets. Not just the cap space. He got assets back. I disagree with you, Luke. It's not just been the cap space talk. They've talked about the assets that they've gotten too. And I don't think they're afraid to use some of those assets, such as they did tonight. And who's to say that pick won't get traded yet? We don't know.
That's true. But the other part is what you talked about earlier with McCain and what he's getting traded for. I don't know that they have these assets to go out and get these guys.
By the way. That's absurd.
Well, so
I'm not saying that they don't. All I'm saying is that I'm not 100% sure, more so than I was going into the offseason. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, I have a lot of respect for Brian Windhorst, and he kind of broke down, and we've talked about it here, how the league is trending away from super teams, right? So it's almost like seeing the Bridges trade is kind of telling you what deals are going to look like in the future, to where, to get guys who aren't even all-star level. They're just really, really, really good role players, but not really an all-star caliber player. It's probably going to cost you more draft capital. Then there was another conversation I had, I think Bill Simmons and a couple other guys had, how in the NBA now, especially with how this new structure is going to be, draft pick, like teams who don't have draft picks, like they don't even worry about it because it's almost so easy now. If you have an asset that anybody wants, it is so easy in one move or two moves to replenish yourself for like 6 years of draft picks. So like, again, there's a whole feeling out stage with what this new NBA is going to look like in terms of, how important is cap space? How important is your draft capital? How are you going to fill your rosters at? I can't panic at this point. I just can't. It's too early. And there's going to be guys who are going to be available. And who's to say that Jimmy Butler is not going to change his mind a week from now? We've seen it a million times. Who's to say that Atlanta doesn't turn around and decide to trade DeJounte Murray at some point before the season starts? There's a lot of things that can happen at this point.
Yeah, and who says he doesn't put together a tremendous roster? Like, I don't know.
I think the most likely roster right now, and again, we talked a week ago and it was Paul George, and now here we are and it's not. So all can change. But as of June 26th, I think the most likely thing that they can do is trade for Ingram and sign a guy like KCP. And I think that team is good. I do. I think that's a pretty good team. And
I think that, yeah.
And we could be wrong for hoping Embiid's healthy, 100%. But if he is healthy,
I don't go in on Ingram. I don't go in on Ingram.
Well, I just think he's the most realistic guy out there right now.
I think there's other ways to do it though. Like I got to look at the whole free agency, right? But if you got me KCP, if you brought Oubre back, if you brought a guy like Batum back, right? Let me see some other names that are out there. I think there's other ways to do it.
I'd even be interested in bringing back Buddy, because what I saw those last couple of games felt like that's what it really should have been.
I think that this pick, if they end up keeping him, I think that's a Buddy Hield replacement right there. I don't know if they have
possibly room. You may very well be right on that.
They could trade it. That could totally happen. I hope it doesn't happen, because I'm actually very excited about his ability to shoot the ball. Like very, very, very excited about that.
You need guys that can catch and shoot, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands to do that. And that's so perfect for Maxey and Embiid.
Yeah, I don't again. I would have rather had Dalton connect, because I think he's the more
seasoned. Yeah.
Moment, but I'm also not going to say the guy can't play, right? We're always wrong here. A lot of times, everybody is. So I'm not gonna tell you the kid can't play, because he can, right? He can play. Now, is he as advanced as Dalton is right now? No. But the 3-game is. The ability to shoot is. If you can shoot, you can shoot. So the rest of his game, I'm sure, needs work. You know what I mean?
Listen, he did things in the NCAA tournament that hasn't been done in 50 years by a freshman. And there's a lot to be said for that.
I know. I have no problem with the pick. I said I agree to the poll. I agree with the decision to pick him. I would have had Dalton, but I also understand that you don't have to be the guy's got to be ready to that. Because you have a 23-year-old guard who's a rising star in this league. So you can say, when he gets it right, we're going to be a problem. So you can look at it a couple ways. We're going to have great guard play when he becomes a more finished product. Or maybe he is. And I don't care. Again, Brian, I love the super chats. Keep them coming. Pay the bills, baby. We drafted a dancer, fellows, he says. This might be on the level of Danny Watkins. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch McCain get posted by Tatum or Brown for years. Oh my God. I don't care.
Well, he's not guarded either one of those. So.
No, and I don't care. I don't care about what he does.
And one of them's gone, so.
I don't care about what he does. He's not a firefighter. I don't care about what he does. Is he tough on game day? Yes.
Yeah.
A guy can have all the bravado in the world and then come up small. So the guy's not. He ain't my. Listen, I ain't doing the things he's doing. All right. That being said, there ain't nothing wrong with what he's doing. Right? It's not like he's a problem.
Making money in college.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with what he's doing.
Yeah, getting the bag.
But can you play or you can't play? So if he's tough and he's physical and everybody talks about all these things, I don't care what he does on TikTok. That don't bother me.
No, me neither.
Anything small doesn't bother me.
And to Crumb's point, right? In the biggest stage, he performed probably his best.
Absolutely.
Right? In the biggest stage.
Big program.
We sit here and thank the NCAA for canceling the years around Tyrese Maxey so we didn't jump up a board, right? I think you could make the case that, Jared McCain at picking at 16 is probably because of the NCAA tournament and his ability to show on the biggest stage, what he's all about. He was a contributor to a number 1 overall team for the entire year, right? Let's try and be fair to the kid, right? Whether we all wanted, I think we all wanted the Dalton, but let's be fair. He played a major role for a number 1 seeded North Carolina, who was the number 1 team overall for most of the year.
Top program. One of the top programs.
Yeah, top programs in the year.
Yeah, it was Duke, you meant to say.
Oh, is it Duke? I'm sorry. I thought it was. Yeah, I got.
I mean,
Duke,
he made
But regardless,
it's all right.
Yeah, Duke's still a powerhouse, right?
Tobacco Road, baby. Yeah,
they're all the same down there.
It ain't a big deal.
It's a powerhouse.
Bill. I don't want to pop in. I don't need to pop in. Pop out, right? Because you go popping in. Here comes Bill. Pop in. Say hello. No, you didn't. You popped in to try to poke your damn stupid
Celtics
freaking, stupid freaking shamrock out. You get your shamrock out. It's hard as a rock right now.
And as it should be.
Exactly. How'd you pick an undersized TikTok dancer, not take Dalton? You let the Lakers get him.
We didn't do anything, first of all. We didn't do anything.
I told you I would have taken.
We all would have taken Dalton Connect, so.
Yeah.
But that being said, it doesn't mean it's a bad pick.
No,
absolutely. And that's, I want to, we
everybody's out on it. That tells me even more. Like, I like the pick even more than I did, than I do. I like it more now because everybody's out.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm going to rally the troops. Who's left standing? We're actually going to like the pick. I hope he actually plays really well. I hope he's really good. So that people are like, oh, man. Remember on draft night when we hated it?
We hated it because he paints his nails.
I wasn't here last.
No shirt underneath
I'm not telling you that I'm all in on the nail painting. I'm not on the nail painting. You want to get a mani and pedi? Do whatever you want. I don't prefer the nail paint. Like, I ain't going to tell my son, like, nail painting's acceptable in our household. No. But listen, right? If you can ball like he can ball, tell my son the same thing. Paint away.
Do you, boo-boo?
Do you, boo-boo? You can play like that. You know what I mean? You play like that. Like, paint whatever the hell you want to paint.
This is a great thing about, like, the NBA draft night, though, because,
Jalen Brunson's 5'9", Brian. We're talking about undersized backcourts. It was a circle jerk.
The New York Knicks are the definition of undersized right now.
Like, what are we talking about? Like, what are we talking? Brian, I love you, but what are we talking
He's also
about?
not lining up in our 2-guard day one. He's going to run our second unit day one. He's going to be a perimeter shooter, handles the ball kind of maybe as a secondary ball handler and next to Kyle Lowry maybe in a second unit. That's probably what it looks like. He's not running the 2-guard for 35 minutes a night next to Tyrese Maxey. That is not what that move is. Going into the draft, the only thing that we all ask for, whether it be they trade it for somebody or they draft somebody, as long as that person helps us day one, that's totally fine. And I think you got the best of both worlds where you bring in a guy who's very, very young and still, given his ability to stretch the floor at such an elite level, helps you day one. And to me, that's pretty much, in terms of today, all you could ask for. I don't understand how
who was a guy in that Knicks series, right? That everybody on the
McBride.
From the Knicks side,
McBride.
that everyone wanted to blow and be like, "Oh, I wish the Sixers had a guy like that."
He's him.
That's what we just drafted.
It's exactly. Yeah, it's exactly.
And you're not paying him what the Knicks are paying Miles McBride.
We're also acting like we had such a problem defensively. We didn't. We had a problem hitting perimeter shots at a consistent basis.
Player being hurt. That's our problem.
And our other problem was we could not hit open perimeter shots on a consistent basis.
100%.
This guy makes 2.5 threes a night for a big-time school, deep threes, deep perimeter threes as well, on a 40% clip. I like my odds on that. I like it a lot.
And again, so this is what I love about the NBA draft night, right? It's not like the NFL draft where we're in here and in our chat's active and everybody's throwing names out for 2 months, right? All of a sudden, the night of the NBA draft, right? I wasn't here last week, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But every other week that I've been here, I haven't heard anybody drop in a bunch of names of who the Sixers should draft.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now, there's one guy who everybody on TV said, "Oh, I can't believe he fell," and now all of a sudden the chat goes crazy because that's the guy they didn't take. Now we know that. Dalton Connect's a really good player. Probably would have been the most logical point. But I just love how everybody comes in and panics because the television is telling them it's not the best guy at that exact moment. So it's a failure now.
Yeah, to your point, I would have taken.
People don't know anything about him except that he's a TikTok guy and he paints his nails because the television told them that. And that's
I would have taken
NBA draft night.
I would have taken Connect, and to your point, I was watching ABC and watching Bob Myers, who knows a ton about basketball, and he was going on a rant about how somebody's falling. I thought he was going right to Connect, and he actually went to McCain. So that's another guy who was supposed to go, yes, around the 16 area, but a lot of guys, especially people covering the Sixers, thought he might not fall to 16.
I'm telling you, it's a good pick.
I agree.
I'm just trying to tell people it's a good pick. I don't understand what's so hard about it. Like, it's a good pick. Okay, who's got more upside then? Right? Like when you look at the numbers and the ability to shoot as a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old at the time compared to Connect, where's McCain? Right? Where's McCain when he's a senior? What's his numbers look like? Yeah. So you can look at it both ways. Like, I got no problem. Listen, I'm not a guy that's going to run away from a guy who played a while in college, right? Because I disagree with that. Make sense? But I mean, it's also a guy who was in Northern Colorado first, right? Before he transferred over to Tennessee. Like, it's not like he was playing at a power school. So what did he play? He was a JUCO for 2. That's what he did, right? Yeah. JUCO for 2. So he did JUCO for 2. I mean, like, his numbers are good. I mean, his total rebounding isn't like great for a wing guy, right? Like 4 in college, a guy 6'5".
He's also in the NBA, especially. He's going to be a cone. That's not to say he won't develop, but he's going to be a cone on defense. Yeah, I would have picked him. I want to make that clear. I would have picked him. But we can WIP all we want and talk about what they could have done and who was there and whatever. Let's talk about the guy who's here. He's a damn good player. And if you told me before the draft that was their pick, I'd be happy. So I'm cool.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, one guy's a better defender, even though he's smaller. So they're looking for defense. They're looking for the 3-point shot. They're looking for they got one of the best player development guys in basketball, Rico Hines. Like, we've said this a million times. Not saying he's going to make everybody great, but his proof's in his pudding. Okay, so why can't we, like, for a second, like, hey, maybe they're not inept. Maybe they made the right pick.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't Connect. Like, he fell too. He fell. Yep. He fell in this draft. I'm not saying he should have. I think there's a lot of misses. It doesn't mean we missed. You understand?
Yeah.
There's maybe 8 other teams that may have missed, right, over him. But it doesn't mean we did.
It's funny. Luke was saying that ABC was
real quick. There's a lot of teams that missed Aaron Rodgers, right, Greg? Sure. It doesn't mean everybody missed.
A lot of teams missed Jared Love too.
Yeah, doesn't mean everybody missed.
Yeah. Well, 100%. No, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny, Luke. You were saying that on the ABC they were going on the Jared McCain dropping pick. On ESPN they were going on the Dalton Connect. Right? Yeah. It was funny. At that time they were both going on the thing. And yeah, if you look at Tankathon, right? Yeah, sure. Tankathon had Connect going 6th overall, and they had McCain going 14th. So in theory, we're sitting here trying to figure out, right? I know Luke threw out Tristan da Silva. I was a big fan of Tristan da Silva. If they kept the pick, he ended up going 2 picks later because of how the board falls, right? Yeah, you're talking draft-wise. You have a choice between Connect and McCain. I think as Sixers fans, you got to be ecstatic with either one of those, right? And the one we took is what we have to do. And I think that ties into what maybe is going into this offseason. Now, that move could still happen, right? Jared McCain could still be on the go somewhere, right? We obviously know how the NBA works, right? But the cap space that to get the max cap spaces, we'd have to trade that pick, right? That pick can't come here because we don't want to give him that money. We want to give somebody else that money, right? So if you keep that pick, I think you're telling yourself that you're pivoting from the Paul Georges, right? The big time signings of the potential free agents, right? We obviously saw what OG just signed for, and we saw what Bridges was traded for. I think maybe Morey just might have pivoted and said, all right, well, let's pick the guy we want. And then whether it is Ingram, whether it is someone else similar in that mold of type of, I'm not even saying type of player, but like type of contract, what you might have to give up for that, right? Not as much as Bridges, and you only have them for 1-2 years, right? You're not locked in on them, and then build around like we've talked about for weeks. Morey just might have pivoted. Who knows, right?
Yeah,
because once you see how everything else is falling out, then you're like, all right, let's get a shooter, because as we said, we struggled with that last year, right? We
I
need
know
shooters.
they're in win now mode, right? I understand. We all understand it's win now mode because of Embiid. But then it's also on the lower level of, well, we got a chance to win for the next 7 years because of this guy.
Yep.
That's not even the angle to look at it from, though, because he's going to walk in your building off your bench and still help you win tomorrow. He's not going to Delaware and play for the Blue Coats like
No. I mean,
he's talking Maxey. He's talking Maxey.
I'm sorry.
You have Maxey too, so you can do this 2 ways. You can try to win now, knowing that if your best player isn't healthy, you aren't winning now anyway. So you say, well, if he's healthy, I just got to put a really good team around him. That's how good he is. So I don't have to go do what New York did because I got a star. I got arguably the best player in the league. I don't have to do what some of these other teams do because I have 2 guys. They can all chase. I got to build around them. And like Spell said, I think this is a really good pick for not only the ability to play right away, but the ability to be really good in 2 years. And then how good your backcourt at times, right? So this isn't just a pick for today. It can be a pick for tomorrow too, because that's what this organization set himself up for by landing a guy like Tyrese Maxey. By picking that pick, which Daryl Morey did, correct? That was Daryl's pick, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Daryl Morey picked that pick. So that pick allowed him as a general manager to go both ways here.
2-way talk.
I also,
you know what I mean?
I don't get why people in the comments are overreacting that he wasn't in the building. Tyrese Maxey wasn't in the building either because they didn't expect him to fall. That's extremely possible. And hey, let me give you this would you rather? Would you rather have them gone into the draft saying, you know what, we're going to wait until someone needs our pick, and if the right move's there, we're going to trade it. And they probably got to that spot, and the guy didn't like the offers he was getting, and he saw an opportunity to get a guy that's going to help them today and help them, as Tom said, for the next 5, however so many years. That's what they did. We can't complain about the guy not being in the building and the offers they turned down because we don't know what the heck the offers were. I have to trust the guy at his word to say they brought in a player that's going to help him now. And going in the draft, that's all he asked for, and that's what I'm happy about. That's not to say I'm happy about how the offseason's going so far, but I'm happy about today. I think that's fair.
Yeah, we do it. I mean, I love Spells. We do it. He is a dookie, right? So we do it to take his comment with a little bit of grace.
Listen, I just think there's like way too much. And like you want to be critical of Embiid and not being healthy. That's a conversation for obviously another day, right? Or another season. But like you can just be out on the Sixers then. Like, I mean, I don't understand. Like Daryl made a really great pick with Tyrese Maxey. And that's a guy who hopefully can lead this franchise over the next 7-8 years. Okay. But so what's wrong with trying to build around him too at the same time? Like you can get some veterans in here to help Embiid, obviously, and the chances of you as a basketball team to win. And you can also get some young guys in here to develop so you can keep something going, so you can keep the winning going. I think there's a couple ways to look at it. And Londar, they're not playing them together like all the time, and especially not right away. No rebounding. You got the biggest guy in the league almost. Like, what are we talking about? And we just started. We don't even have a roster. So, of course, we have no rebounding.
We have 3 guys
we have 3 guys on a roster. Like, of course we're not rebounding. And we're still rebounding well with Embiid.
I think they do need to invest in some rebounding because what happens is all the time and throughout the entire Embiid era, especially now more than ever, he has to help because whoever's guarding the perimeter gets beat. He helps, protects the rim at a high level, and for whatever reason, just because he's 7'2", people expect him to help the weak side, protect the rim, and rebound all at once. That's not how Minnesota does it. That's not how Boston does it. Nobody does that in the entire league. They need to rally the glass. They've never done that. They need to invest in size and athletes. I've beaten that to death the last month. They need to do that. But just because they didn't do it on this pick doesn't mean they're not going to do it at all.
There wasn't really that guy available, though, right there,
yeah,
right?
No,
you know what I mean?
No,
like, you were reaching at that point. And I'm just glad we didn't draft Zach Edey. Thank the Lord. Thank God Memphis is a terrible organization.
Can't we just
It took Zach Edey at, like, what, 10th?
Yeah. Can we just
11th?
wait, too? Like, I mean, I love crushing. I'm a big fan of hit and go live and literally verbally attacking executives in this city.
Especially GMs, right?
Oh yeah, that's why I said execs. I will smoke execs. I will smoke a dryer sheet all day. Okay, but at the end of the day, here I'm gonna wait the crush. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not telling you to believe the Sixers are NBA Finals contenders. That's not what I'm telling you. I'll let you know when it's over. Not the season. I'll let you know when the all season's over, and then we'll say, is this team a contender going into the season? And then we'll have the conversation. But until then, we got 3 guys on the roster. So, right, like I said at the end of last year, get a king's ransom for Embiid. And that's my son. And I said it. So everybody in the chat saying it now, you're late to that party. Okay, that you can get that. You want value back? You want to start it over with Maxey? You can get a haul. A haul. So that can be done next year too.
If Mikal Bridges gets 5 first-round picks, we could get the whole first round for Joel.
Seriously, even after next year, if he's hurt again, he still will, because he's going to play 50, 60 games and put up 30.
Because he'd still be better than Mikal Bridges.
Xander, we can't match up with anybody right now, the Knicks or Boston, because we don't have a roster.
I still don't think Knicks are that good. I don't think this move makes them that much better. They're super undersized. They're going to get and Tim is going to run them into the ground like he does every team that he coaches.
Yep.
I don't think this makes them that good. It's a cool story. Woo! We're the main line. We're the New York Nova Wildcats. Woo!
He's not, Julian. You think he ain't going to last in this city? In terms of McCain, I think we're really stretching.
Yeah, we're reaching.
We're going. We're really, because of like what a kid does. Like,
yeah, why we?
If anything, that shows him he's confident in himself. He doesn't give a shit what anybody says.
Kelly Oubre is too, right? And Kelly Oubre is really liked in the city, and we hope he's back.
It shows me how confident he is, and it shows me how clueless everybody is out there, that they have nothing to say other than the fact that he paints his nails. They know nothing about him.
Right. No, 100%, Chrome. How can you, KZ? How can you sit there with?
I think that people think this is like the cool thing. I guess the knock to put on the kid. But if anything, makes you guys look like idiots. Like, I'm not afraid to say I don't care.
But how can you sit here and say your tallest guy is Mikal Bridges in your starting 5 and you're not undersized? Sure, Hartenstein, okay, but he's a stiff.
He might not even go back. We don't know that yet. They don't mind. He's a free agent.
Julius Randle is going to be your starting. And I know I'm not saying you like the Knicks, but I'm saying Julius Randle going to be your center, and you're not undersized.
That's a problem.
But we are.
With a 7'2" guy.
Yeah.
Granted, he's hurt, but whatever.
Well, we're not talking about that though. Like, that's a different conversation.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
When you just break down a roster, you're not talking about guaranteeing he's getting hurt, even though we know it's coming.
Jalen Brunson's not 6 foot, right? Josh Hart's 6'1".
I got no issue with the Knicks.
6'3". Yeah,
the Knicks are good. The Knicks are good, right? We know who's good. And with Embiid and Maxey, we're in everything. We're in every series. If they're both healthy, we're in every series. No matter what roster gets put around these guys. Can we have a little feel, please? Like, I know those teams are really good, but let's wait and see how good we really are. Because if we bring back a guy like Oubre, if we can bring back Batum, if we can bring in like a Caldwell Pope, if we can make some of these other little moves that make us deeper and better, how do we know how good we are? Right? If we get some more size, we get a good backup big, right? A power forward that can rebound. Like, who knows how good we are? It's not over. It's not over. So when it's over, we'll know how good we are. But even with those 2 guys, we're still really good. Those will break the news, everybody. We're still winning 50 games. Are we not?
Oh, yeah.
You can start with us 4 off the pine, right? We're still winning games. Well, maybe not, right? But
maybe not me.
But my point is like, you can just put like average guys around them, and they're still going to win 50 games if they're both playing. Like, come on. I mean, that's the facts. I'm not telling you to win an NBA Finals. Hear me out. So now, if you put it together right, why can't they be really good like everybody else? Because we know the end result of Embiid. Fine, there I'll agree with. But we don't know. We don't got that crystal ball every year though. Listen, We know it's coming. But
Listen,
we're still going to hope that, maybe it's the year. And the only reason we want the big name, like a George, etc., is because we're assuming he's going to be banged up in the playoffs and we need another guy.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, I'm looking at these comments. When Embiid goes down, we're down. We're done. How is that different than anywhere else? If Jokic goes out, the Nuggets are done. You saw what happened with Milwaukee this season. I mean, that is the case across the board. When you are a team and your number one guy, particularly if it's a big man goes down, you build your team differently when there's a big man and that is, the face of your organization. So yes, your chances are slim to none when you lose your big man. It's across the board. So these comments about, you're stating the obvious. We understand.
I thought I was pessimistic about what's going on. I mean, this is
always with
we'll be lucky to be the 8th seed I just saw. What the hell? What are we okay? We have the MVP. I get it. He's probably going to get hurt, but in the regular season, we have the MVP of the league, a rising star who's only gotten better each and every year. He's only 23 years old, and we don't even know who's on the freaking team yet. I'll tell you right now, we can do a weekly edition of this, and it's probably going to change every week until the roster actually
100%.
comes out. But if we want to play the weekly edition this week, we can, which is Maxey, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Brandon Ingram, Kelly Oubre, Embiid, Batum, Lowry, McCain. That's on 8 seed. You can debate the Knicks all you want. I'm cool with it, but that's a pretty good team. That's
better than the New York Knicks.
Listen, I don't give a shit.
Cavs.
First off, if Joel Embiid's on the court, you could put the freaking you could put half WNBA in there, right? And they're winning 50. They're regular season games. They're winning 50.
Yeah.
That's the facts. That's how good he is when he's playing. So we know the end result in him not blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is, that roster is just as good as everybody else's. If he's playing. I don't want to, everything, you can fucking miss me now, get late in the night. You can miss me if it's not. You'll be hurt, and then we won't be. But you can miss me on paper, and it's not. You can just stop talking basketball then.
We got real quick. We got over 80 people watching live. Hit that hit that subscribe.
We got 407 watching.
407 watch. Oh, we got 80 on YouTube. 407 in total. Hit that like and subscribe, people. Let's go. Do you like Jared McCain? Do you not like Jared McCain? Hit the like. Hit the subscribe.
Appreciate you, Greg. Listen, maybe we are a first-round exit, but we don't got to. We don't
got a first-round exit without it beat his entire career.
Maybe
we battled to get out of a play-in game because he was hurt this whole year, right? Yes, we know what we are without Embiid.
I'm gonna do my Delonte West again.
Yeah. Where we at? We at Bronny's house?
I gotta send you guys that clip. That was fun from Sunday.
From Sunday night.
Things get out of control. Things get out of control.
We got a Celtics in here, a Celtics fan in here, and Bill.
Overhyping KCP. He's a 2-time champion on 2 different teams who plays defense and makes threes.
Wait,
what else do you want on our team?
Yeah.
What's the one thing that we miss on a constant basis is people missing wide open jump shots, and he's been doing that for years. And we're overhyping the guy. Who said he's an all-star?
I mean, to me, what I'm seeing is everybody wants Jimmy Butler. Even though we're not throwing that name out there, everybody fell in love with Jimmy Butler. I know. I'm saying in the chats.
No, right? Before you came on, it was animated.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying
no, you don't. Before you got out of the pool,
long before that, right? For weeks and weeks, everybody's been sold on this Jimmy Butler coming back idea, right? So it's Jimmy Butler or bust, or maybe Paul George. Although people were lukewarm on that, now everybody wants Paul George because they're not happy with the draft pick they made. It's just it's very bizarre. It's a very bizarre chat tonight.
I'll be clear. It's not Jimmy or bust, but
James, I'm sorry, I wasn't talking to you specifically.
If you get Jimmy Butler, you're better.
I want Jimmy Butler, by the way.
No. I'm just talking to the chat. If you got Jimmy Butler, you're better than the Knicks, and you're right there with the Celtics. And if you think otherwise, shut the fuck up. because he did it with less. He didn't have Tyrese Maxey. So even Butler and Maxey can win. Is going to compete. They're going to compete. If you don't think those two are competing in a series, okay, you don't watch those two in the playoffs then. Enough. Because Maxey, for a 23-year-old, competed. And I expect him to be better than he was last year. And Joel Embiid is better than he was. Joel Embiid gets better every year. He just doesn't stay healthy. But his game gets better every year if you watch it. Every year he gets better at something. Every year Tyrese Maxey's got better at something. So, come on. I know how old Jimmy Butler is, guys. But then you can't be all in and then you can do it like we're talking about. But if you're trying to win a chip right now, that's how you got to go. You can still arguably have an opportunity to, depending on what kind of roster you put together. But if you're really all in and he's available, that's your guy. Like you said, we don't think he's available. So
I think the mindset with Embiid slightly needs to change. I think people are angry at him for no reason. If you want to be angry that he's hurt, that's totally understandable. And if you want to be angry at the organization, you have all the right to be angry at the organization. We're talking about a guy that's played for probably the most disappointing run organization in sports in the modern era. Between picks that they've blown, opportunities they've blown, having guys in their door and just letting them walk for nothing, paying the wrong people, having the wrong kinds of personalities in here. And he's in a league where everyone asks out all the time, and yet he's still here after 10 years. But people make it seem like he's this diva and we have all the reasons to hate the guy. If you want to be mad at him for being hurt, that's not his fault. He's 7'2". You could be mad at the fact that he's hurt, but he's going out and still playing on one leg and the Bell's palsy thing and all. I'm not trying to blow him right now. But all I'm saying is, can we appreciate a guy who wants to win here, please?
People won't do that. But what I will say is, John,
we can't do that. No.
John, first off, this is where I'm gonna get fired up, and it's late. I'm talking crazy because Jimmy makes Sixers there with Boston. Yeah, he does. If they're all healthy, he does. He does. For a year, you know what I mean? For next year, he does. I'm not telling you long term, but for next year, those three put you right there with them. Come on, guys. I'm not telling you we beat them because we don't ever. I didn't say the Sixers are better than Boston. I said they're right there. They're right there. They're in the conversation. And then you got to go play, and we'll lose. But you still got to go play. Like, I'm being optimistic, but I know what the result's going to be. This is why I sat here and said I would trade my son at the end of the postseason last year, and I love him. So don't nobody talk to me like I'm talking crazy. I've been clear. But now he's here. He ain't going nowhere. So how can I try to figure it out to still win? That's where I'm at then. We appreciate all the super chats tonight. Really came from Brian. Anybody else want to toss them in? We appreciate you. Love you. All the comments. And like Greg said, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that follow. Stay with us, baby. Disagree to disagree. You know what I mean?
Terrence Shannon just went to the Timberwolves. That's an interesting choice.
I mean, they got him and they
got the sixth man from Kentucky. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Well, he's Rob Dillingham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had a crazy day.
Yeah, Shannon's one of those guys too. Sorry, Thomas. Shannon's one of those guys too. If whatever happens legally, right? Like who
I think it came out that he's good. I think
he's good.
Yeah.
Then that might be a steal there late in the first round.
Yeah.
Because he can score. Right.
Well, I think we know the vote. You agree with Daryl Morey's decision with the 16th pick. Agree or disagree? I was agree. There were some other disagrees. There was agrees. So, I mean, we were, Luke disagreed. Greg, you agreed, right?
Yeah.
And Chrome essentially agreed. So 3-1. But the chat definitely overwhelmed us tonight, and they did a hell of a job with it.
Nice. Well done.
A ton of disagrees, obviously. And again, I don't think if Connect's on the board, you get as many disagrees.
Yep. And let's not forget Miami, who picked Jaquez and Adebayo and Hero and all these guys that they can't seem to miss a pick, and they had them right up there, and they didn't pick them.
Yeah, I was nervous about them, right? Because you're right. They always tend to. But I had a feeling that they were going some big, right? They had to go get size They had enough of those wing guys that can shoot that they didn't necessarily – I thought they would pass on them, but I was nervous.
Brian, another super chat, my brother. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Brian.
Jared's first highlight package after his pick started with a damn TikTok. What are we doing, fellas? Sixers are cooked.
He's beating this drum, dude.
In a world of social media, in a world
It's what we
driven by
live in right
social
now.
media,
Like, come on, guys.
in a world driven by social media, we give a rat's ass about his TikTok or anything on it. Like, let me tell you how many times I'm gonna go look at his TikTok. 0. You guys, how many times I'm going to watch him play basketball? All the time. That's what I care about. What do you do on the court? Now, if you got extracurriculars and you're an issue, right? Okay, then we're gonna have that conversation. But we're not talking about an issue.
We literally sat here over the last couple of weeks and talked about Major League Baseball, and now I know, Brian, but still, like, we literally had this conversation about Major League Baseball for 3 weeks about how that league doesn't market anybody, and Luke's up there talking about how the Phillies should have Stubbs do a TikTok. Like, we've had this conversation. This is what the world is now in professional sports. And so am I surprised they did that? No, because the NBA markets their players beyond just what's on the court as well. So of course they're going to do that.
And plus, he's a college athlete. They can make money nowadays because of this.
Yep.
So you don't think he's trying to make money in college by doing this?
Yeah. And if you think we should get Jimmy Butler, hit the damn like.
Ooh.
Let us know. All right? Hit the like.
There's a name still out there, and I want to throw it out to you guys. Just because we have a bunch of second-round picks, right, we're probably not going to use them all. But we talk about getting size. We talk about shooting. Kyle Filipowski is still out there. Does that intrigue either of you guys?
I mean, I'm a Duke hater, so double Duke for me is pretty tough. But
yeah, no, it's not easy.
It is true. Yeah,
I want to be clear. I'm a UNC guy. I'm not a Duke guy. So no, it's not ideal. But listen, I'll take talent at this point, right?
And we're getting to that. Yeah, we're getting to that end of the first round. So
I mean, you go to those power schools. There's obviously some major upside with you, right? So, and I think he's a good player.
For second round pick, I'll take him. I'm not saying he's gonna be a great NBA player, but for second round, I feel like that's pretty good value.
I'll take
I was more thinking jump back up here in these next 2 picks just because of the control that you can get by having a first rounder, right? You get that extra 2 years or at least year of control. Right?
The only thing there, and you're talking again, let's go back to this cap space that they love. They love floating this out there. You're going to have to pay him more, and which is why I thought that they might actually trade down from 16 because the pay range is a little less. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't.
No, you're right there.
Which then goes to show you that they like this kid.
Yeah.
The guy they drafted. I mean, maybe we wake up tomorrow. Maybe we wake up tomorrow to a little Bronny.
Isaiah Collier, to the Jazz, who was obviously ESPN's #1 player 2023,
and also one of the only guys we worked out too. I thought that if it wasn't Connect, I kind of thought it was going to be him.
Wouldn't be mad at that either. A lot of upside, obviously.
Yeah,
ton of upside. So, but like either way, what do we got? 3 of them? We got 3 seconds?
3 or 4, I think, right?
I know we have 41 tomorrow.
Oh, Tankathon only shows 41. I thought we had a
I was going to say, I don't think we have another pick in the second round.
How many do they have? 2?
Just a 1, actually.
So maybe just, I mean, you're not going to get much for a second round pick, but do you try to package that and like another first down the road for a good player, right? You're not going to get anything special, but for like a good player that's it's got a skill set that fits what you want in that position. If that's rebounding, if that's whatever it may be, right? Do you use 2 seconds in a first, right? I mean, I'm asking you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I'll throw some names out there real quick.
Not Starline. I know you need a lot to get anybody of substance.
If you look at like a Washington as a Corey Kispert out there, that's probably going to get dealt, considering all the moves that they've made. They're building for the future.
They're tanking.
Brooklyn has a Dorian Finney-Smith and a Cam Johnson, who I really like. It's just the only thing I'll say about Cam Johnson. I really, really like the player, and I wanted him to come here during the draft. He was taken really high, further than we ever could have taken him. He's just making a lot of money, and I don't think that they're going to give assets to commit to that money before they make their big move. So I don't think they'll lean that way, but I do really like the player a lot. I think Kispert on a cheaper deal is kind of more of a name you'll see. Another three-point shooter, a wing guy. Not going to start for you, but probably could come off your bench.
I like that name, Don. I always have liked that name. Gary Trent.
He's a free agent. Yeah.
Gary Trent's a guy that I think will be here when it's done. Obviously, some ties. I know everybody says nobody liked Nick Nurse, but I don't know if that's
OG Anunoby liked him. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think there's people. I don't think nobody liked him. So, Gary Trent's a scorer. So if you're looking for bench production, looking for a guy that's instant offense off your bench, I think that's a really good name. Everybody says they have real beef. Send me the articles. You know what I mean? Send me the video evidence. I don't know. It doesn't mean guys make up. You know what I mean? Guys make up in this league. So maybe it's not. Like maybe it's a totally wrong name. And if it is, then I'm wrong, right?
Listen, we watched the Eagles have Darius Slay and Matt Patricia in the same room for an entire season. I believe that anything can happen.
Yeah, and he's a veteran, right? As you grow up, when he was Toronto, he was just he was just drafted, right? He's a rookie. You grow up and you realize that, do I want to stay do I want to sign a 1-year deal and go play in obscurity again like he has his whole career, or do I want to potentially join an exciting spot to be? People grow up.
Ethan's comment, I like DeAndre Hunter's name a lot, but that's another guy that's making not huge money, but a little bit too much for them to commit before they make a big move.
Yeah, somebody brought him up either last week or on Sunday, DeAndre Hunter, as a possibility.
Hometown kid. I like him.
Okay.
Does Bronny get drafted in the next 2 picks? We got Boston and Toronto.
Do the Sixers look at Bronny in the second round as a way to entice?
Let's do it. I'm with it.
I'm
sorry, Boston. This is the last pick. I'm sorry, Boston. I was about to say, how is Toronto picking again in the first round? I forgot it was.
This is the end. They didn't pick him either. So
Nick Nurse called him out a bunch. That's what it is.
I'm not losing sleep over missing out on him anyway. So
we're kind of on the show, right? So
he would battle him about against his effort and his energy and those types of things, and
which is all fair.
And he was clear on it. So I wouldn't necessarily call it like big time beef, or just being honest. Just coaching him. And it's well documented that they haven't been on the same page, over their time, but there isn't like a ton of it. And he said he wanted to be more active on the defensive end with deflections, because his deflections were down. And he said we want him to be a disruptor. He kind of fits us if he does that, and if he doesn't fit us. That's what he said. I get it, Brian. It was just one name.
Damn it!
You were really hoping for that, weren't you?
I'm a big.
I would have liked it.
Me too. Yeah.
And I definitely don't want him going to Boston of all places.
I think we have a way out of Reed's contract, don't we, Luke?
Yeah, it's non-guaranteed. So they're gonna look at things, in free agency and trade, and I think they'll probably keep it, especially in a world where there's no big, absurd name in free agency. I don't think they're gonna be wishing for that money. The other thing they could do, they could trade him. Let's not forget that either. He's a younger guy that I think some of these rebuilding teams could have interest in, maybe.
Yeah, he's got value across the league, right?
And he's also not a 5, right? And I think he's playing for the worst possible team he could play for. I think he has potential in the league, but it's not as a 5. It's definitely not as a backup 5. He's a 4. That's who he is. He's like a dunker spot 4 guy, but it's probably not going to work here.
Would you give Tobias Harris $15 million a year?
Absolutely not.
I haven't written that off yet.
Some things are just emotionally written off. I wouldn't do it. It's just,
All right. Greg?
I've seen enough.
Yes, I would.
Crow?
I would, and I said to somebody earlier, I would give 5% that I could see it happening, and like 0.01% and my confidence that it will happen. But yes, I would, absolutely.
Damus, it's funny you say that because, I mean, I'm not pounding the table for it. It's
He's
more
gonna
of
get
like
more money elsewhere, though.
Yeah.
But if it's like if nothing's out there and I can get him for cheap and he's not getting the offers he wants and he comes back on a 4-year deal at $14 million a year or something, $15 million, like okay, maybe even like I'll go maybe 17. It's not crazy number, right? And then maybe we would appreciate it more. Not that we should appreciate 0 points, but maybe we could be like, okay, he's better because he's not making $35 million a year or $40 million a year. So 17, not 40. Okay, now I can fill out other things around that now. Yep. Now I'm not banking on him to be a star. I'm banking on him to do what he can do at a good level. I'm just like looking for things, Luke. There's not a lot out there. Everybody can say
no. And Tommy, it's funny too, right? You see, like you said, you see OG what he got, right? You see what you had to give up for things. You might have to, right? You might have to jump back into that. And my quick response isn't like I want him. Yeah. I could just see the Sixers doing that by kind of be in prison for what? I mean,
like our comments. I'm sorry Brian didn't put me in there because we said we would like I give him 15.
I'm not. Yeah, like I'm
no,
not
we don't want him back.
Tomorrow. I don't want him. Could I see it? Would it shock me? No.
Oh my God! Let me tell you something. If he comes back on a minimum contract, I'll be a Hornets fan tomorrow. I'm done with it. I'm so done with it.
Listen, I wouldn't. I'm not hoping for it, but if that's where we're at and it's only 15 million, 16, 17 million, I'm all for it. Side note too, everybody, you talk about what Bridges and everybody gave up for him. If you look at the side-by-side stats of Tobias Harris this season and Mikal Bridges, Tobias Harris had a better season than he did. It's pretty crazy how close they actually.
I just think that he's a much not even close better defender, and he gives you that. And Tobias, it's funny because when Tobias first came here, he wasn't a great defender, but he was actually pretty good. Even in like the first year of Harden when we played Miami in that series, he was pretty good. This year he was a cone, and I'm good. I don't need that anymore.
Well, he averaged 2 more rebounds than Bridges this season.
Speaking of,
the chat went crazy. Just
the H-bomb.
We're just trying to set it up.
What is that? What is that rumor with Harden? Any chance he returns?
No.
I'm seeing Ben Simmons' name put out there.
I saw that too.
I'll take Ben Simmons over all of them.
Let me tell you something.
I think Brian's going to put me in solitary confinement after that one.
Yeah,
listen, I got to be honest with you, and I would have been the most anti-Ben Simmons person ever.
I'm out.
But like, if you could get him on a buyout and cheap, talk about what defensively what he brings, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands now.
Are we doing this?
We're having
a conversation. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I've been doing shows with Greg too long. I'm on Greg's wavelength on this one.
You ever go on Twitter and see the cycles of where a fan base is at, and it's like the same thing over and over again?
Well,
we are at the Ben Simmons comeback stage. Let's not even.
Maybe
it's not. No, I'm not for it at all. I think it would be the most disgusting idea in the history of this franchise who's had probably more disgusting ideas than anyone in sports.
Listen,
but we're at this point in the fan base.
Maybe this chat is just driving me to this point where I'm like, I want to see what everything that they don't want. And I want it to be what makes this team go. Bring back Tobias. Bring back Ben. Let's roll it back.
Oh, my God.
Bring back JJ. Oh, wait. We can't.
Listen, I'm out. I'm out.
Greg Monroe's over there in the 3-on-3 league.
Hell yeah.
There's some guys that are not allowed back in this city. And that loser and that pussycat is not welcome back in these parts. That is that simple. Like, right, I'm good with a lot of stuff. We talked about the bias. That was a fun combo.
You can suspend me next week, KZ. I'll be out next week.
I'm with KZ. Let's get Angel Reese. Let's get Angel Reese in here. I'm with KZ.
We're going to talk about no talent. Holy smokes.
You guys better stop with the bet. You know, I'd rather have Fultz back, like Thomas said. You go give me Fultzy.
Might as well. Let's maybe
he's a free agent.
He can fix the shot again.
Habib says bring back John Zaire.
I was gonna say, how's Zaire
No
doing?
peanuts. No peanuts.
Extra peanuts.
Oh man. I mean, I can't say his name right. Somebody can say it for me.
Jeremy Grant.
Chinedu Azanobi.
No, the guy's name was commenting.
Chinedu Azanobi.
Oh,
you guys say Jeremy Grant. I mean,
come on, 75 people watching on YouTube. We only got 43 likes. Let's get that over 50. Let's get it over 50.
I would like Jeremy Grant, but it's too much money in my opinion.
Way too much money.
Yeah,
that's Tobias Harris contract all over again.
Hey, Chin, I got you, buddy. Listen, the name, I like the name, I like the talent, but that's a big contract at this point.
Yeah, we're off the rocker. Yeah, we're restarting the process. We are officially off the rocker. No.
I see Spurcan's name pop back up.
Those are good days.
I would rather move the team out of the city of Philadelphia than bring back Ben Simmons.
Well, we're going to Center City.
No, like out of Phil.
Might as well be out.
Out of the state, Greg. Out of the state. No, nowhere in its vicinity. Like, oh, we got a team in who knows where, Dakota, right? South Dakota. We got the South Dakota Sixers. Okay, that's where I'm at. If you bring back that loser. Ethan Laurie's good, but we just don't have it to give up. We're not getting them.
I was all for Laurie before the McCall.
I'll come back.
Before the McCall trade, I was all in on Laurie, but I think that might be too rich, especially when you're talking about a team that doesn't have many players on its roster. We need those picks to fill it out. But I'm with you, though. I like the fit a lot. I think it'll help us rebound, stretch the floor, give us more size. I'm with it, but I just don't think it can happen.
And not for nothing, let's call a spade a spade. He's also hurt a lot.
He is.
He's also another guy that early in his career has been hurt a lot. So I'm not saying I don't want it, right? I'm not saying I wouldn't love it. But it is what it is, right?
I do think it's important, though, to pay really close attention to how the NBA shakes out over this next year or two with how the salary cap and everything is going to be worked now. Because, again, I think we all went, whoa, that's a lot to give up for Bridges. But now you're looking, you're like, this might be what the standard is for guys of that caliber player now with how this all shakes out.
It's bananas.
Because if you can't afford max guys, those upper echelon role players are going to carry a lot more value in terms of trade capital. And that's going to be a massive game changer in this league.
I saw all those picks and I said, what the hell is going on in the NBA?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, I think it's also because Brooklyn's perspective, they didn't want to trade him and they were kind of they're stupid for thinking about it, but they kind of thought Bridges would bring in a star like a Donovan Mitchell, and they were banking on that. And I think they came to their senses when they got that offer. Like, that's a blow the sock. Like, got to take it.
Yeah. And
that's a pull me over move, right? Yeah.
They're completely blowing it up now at this point. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen now with the deal that was made with Houston now too. How that's going to getting all the Phoenix picks so that they could go after.
They could get back Durant.
Right. So
they're open for either or. I mean, that's
we can direct this now. We can direct this now back to the Sixers, who, again, prioritize the cap space and all this. And now when Durant and Booker and all these names are being thrown out, you would think a few months ago the team that would be featured the most in these conversations is the Sixers. But in reality, it's not, because these teams accumulated draft picks and they have valuable expiring contracts that are, valuable across the league to trade. So that just goes back to my point of, where are we in these conversations? Not saying they're real, not saying they're going to happen, but there's other teams that weren't mentioned 2 months ago that are now all of a sudden featured in all these talks because they have these expiring contracts and picks.
Yeah, that's an interesting fit. Houston with one of those stars, just because they have a bunch of young guys, and it would seem like, adding a Durant or a Booker would kind of stunt that growth, but I guess it doesn't matter for them.
I like Booker for them, but not Durant. I think Durant, like you said, kind of messes with their timeline a little bit.
Yeah. I don't mean, Booker, though, and Jalen Green, I'm not saying they're the same player, but they're the same player, right? Booker's obviously a lot better, right? Booker's,
I would trade every pick we own for Devin Booker. No doubt.
Oh, yeah. I'd trade a lot of picks for Jalen Green.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see. Boys, I got to hop off because apparently there's supposed to be a huge thunderstorm about to start, and I'm outside, so
yeah, enjoy, brother. We had a boomer roll through here right around dinner time.
Yeah,
big old boomer.
Didn't realize until the wind just picked up, and I looked, and it says 100% within the next 20 minutes. So I got to pack up and ship in.
We're in that hurricane season.
Listen, everybody in the chat, just let's give it a little bit of time. Let's revisit in a few weeks. Let's let free agency start. Let's see Saturday who opts in and who doesn't. And we'll see how this goes. I mean, are we totally writing off Paul George at this point?
Yes, I am. You have to if he's an unrestricted free agent, no. But if he opts in, you have to trade for him and pay him. I'm 100% out.
Yeah,
I'll let Golden State do that.
Yeah, I'm just not 100% that's where it's going to go. I mean, he's kind of in the driver's seat in terms of how he wants to roll through with this, but. And LA's calling his bluff on things, but I mean, we'll see. Not writing it off yet, but a lot of things can happen. A lot of names can come out. Appreciate the chat for me here, guys. But you guys take it home. Go Sixers. The trade or the pick was a good pick.
See you, Cromer.
See ya.
Look at the chat bouncing back. 56 likes. Look at you boys. Let's see if we can get it. Let's see if we get to 75. Let's see if we can push that envelope.
Okay.
What are you thinking tomorrow, Luke? Pick 41.
I just
maybe not necessarily player. Maybe not necessarily player, right? But position, type of player, or do you think they trade it?
I think they trade it for more capital that they use. Right. Maybe it's this summer. Maybe it's at the deadline. Because again, 41 is a pretty high pick, and especially when you have Filipowski, and as crazy as it sounds, Bronny has all this hype around him. There are guys that teams are going to want. It always happens all the time where that pick's going to gain more value as you get closer to it. I think that's something that becomes very available around the league once you get closer to it. I think that's something that's flipped for a later second for them to just reset and say, okay, we have another pick, albeit it's a second-round pick, to trade later down the line for a guy like a Buddy Hield that they did last deadline.
So you think you trade all the way out or just trade later?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Round?
Yeah, I don't think they make a pick at all, especially because, again, they value the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they looked at 16 and saw it as a high money value pick than they would like it to be. So I think if they made that sacrifice, they're going to say, okay, we don't want any more money on our books, especially if it's a guy in the second round that we don't know that we believe in. So I think they trade completely out of it in the pick.
Interesting. I disagree, right?
So actually, sorry to cut you off. This
No,
is pretty big time. Morey's having a press conference right now. And so in terms of McCain and how they view him, he said, we had McCain as a top 10 player in the draft. If you can get a player who is hopefully rotation ready at a very young age, we think this guy's going to be a 76er for a very long time. So that just goes to show you, again, it kind of lines up with, and this is not a point I brought up yet. He said two things he wanted. He wanted wing players that are going to show up in the playoffs, and he wanted high-volume three-point shooters. This is a high-volume three-point shooter. It fits the team exactly.
Check, right? Check.
And again, that maybe he misgauged what was going on around the league in terms of how he was valued within the top 10 and thought he was definitely going to get picked. And he's not a big pre-draft workout guy. He never really has been. He doesn't really look at guys in person in those workouts. He sees them on film. Maybe he sends a scout to go see him play in person, and that's enough for him.
Yeah, and these guys, and to that point, right, these guys throughout the summer leagues, throughout their college careers or the AAU circuit, they all play enough basketball that you know what you're getting, whether you work them out in front of you or not. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I agree that the not seeing somebody isn't a big issue to me. Right. They play enough basketball. Everyone's televised these days. If you want to watch somebody, all you got to do is flip it on and you're able to watch somebody. So,
and maybe those guys that they bring in, it's like, hey, I want to see this guy shoot threes, or I want to see him in this type of drill. I want to see if you have this in your game. That's more so what they get out of those in-person workouts, because they control what they're actually doing, and only they get to see it. Another quote just came out. He said, we were looking at a lot of scenarios with trade out, trade back, and that all went away when Jared was there. So, again, they value this kid.
They wanted him.
They wanted
him.
And as a fan of the team, you can only go by what their evaluation is of the player. And they did the same thing with Maxey a few years ago, where a lot of people thought they weren't going to take anybody and they were going to trade out of the pick, and a player they wanted was there and they picked him. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's funny too. You sit there and you know, we look at an organization like the Eagles, right? And the Eagles have done this for years, right? They want their guy, they go get their guy.
Yep.
Right. And we all give the Eagles, now granted but they've only won. They haven't won it all a lot, right? It's not like they're a perennial winners of all, right? So you kind of equal them to the Sixers. So we give Howie Roseman and the Eagles every benefit of the doubt when they draft and they say, we targeted this guy, we wanted this guy was it. But then, when the Sixers come out and say that, all goes wild. Now, granted, they said it afterwards, but same thing. We give the Eagles the benefit of the doubt, but we don't ever really give the Sixers.
I mean, he also did come out and just say, we did look to trade it and look up and down. And the closer we got to the pick and saw that he was there, we saw him as a top 10 guy on our board and we wanted him. So I'm hearing that from him. I don't know how you can come away from this and say you hate the pick. You might wanted someone more. I still would pick Connect over him. But at the same time, this is a guy that they've touted as a top 10 guy on their board the entire process, and he fell to a point where they thought they had to take him.
Yeah, and that's what you do, right? With what you guys were just saying, that's what you do. When you have a guy that you target and you believe he's that type of player and he drops, you don't trade the pick, right? You don't trade out. You say, all right, well, this is one of our guys that was high up on our draft board, so, we're taking him.
Yeah, can't fault it at that.
And something just dropped from his press conference. He said that a pretty interesting player was offered to the Sixers in a deal where they moved back from 16 among other offers, but McCain was in their top 10. So
I wish we could figure out who that interesting type of player was.
And that doesn't mean that interesting player isn't available, because there were no trades made for a player in the rest of the draft. So clearly that player is still out there. and maybe they can
It
go.
was just the Brogdon one, right? That Brogdon one's the only one with a trade, right? The Portland and Washington.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Given for financial purposes only, I would rather have McCain over Brogdon. Because Brogdon's making way too much money to be
right
that age and offer you is limited what he's given you at this stage of his career.
He also said the backcourt in a perfect world would be taller, but he has a strong frame. We think McCain will be a solid defender. So,
and Jaden Springer was a solid defender. He's 6'2", 6'3" on a good day. So,
Daryl Morey says the bar for McCain playing this year is high because the Sixers expect to be the best team in the conference next season, right up there with Boston.
Hello.
Yeah. He checked every box. He not only someone who has a skill and a work ethic to get onto the floor, but he has played in high-level games. We think we can get him on the floor quicker. So, just some news and notes. News and notes.
Can't fault that, right? And like I said, if you close your eyes and put a voiceover on, and you and the other guy's Howie Roseman saying that, everyone's given the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yep.
Everyone's given the benefit of the doubt if you don't know who's saying that from the city. So yeah, you can't at that point you can't fault it. Whether you wanted, we beat that dead horse, right? Whether we wanted somebody actually different with that pick, but they liked him. They thought they got his guy. So what are we to say?
Daryl's actually the one thing he's done a great job of, which I'll give him credit for, is draft night in general, right? They got the most out of that pick. I believe it was his first or second year here, and getting Melton. They obviously got the most out of that pick in Maxey. They've done well in the second round in Isaiah Joe and Paul Reed. The problem has been, one, developing the player and also keeping him here, i.e. Isaiah Joe. But in terms of the talent that he's brought in here on draft night, I don't remember a bad pick he's made yet. Maybe Springer. I don't even remember if that was his pick. I think it was. That might have been his only miss. And that was a later pick than this one.
Yeah, that was late first.
Yeah.
And who knows? We won't actually know if that's a miss for a minute, right? Because he didn't work out for us, but we also knew when we were drafting him, he wasn't for us right away. Right? Yeah. We knew drafting him that he was going to be towards the end of his rookie deal. We were going to determine at that point whether he was going to be part of the future. And in a way he was, because we were able to flip him for something, right?
Second round pick. Now he's an NBA champion.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
So, Tommy, do they pick at 41 tomorrow, or do they trade out? Luke says they trade out.
I think depending on who's on the board, right? It's an easy cop out. I'll say they pick somebody then.
Position-wise, where do you think they go? It's tough. It's tough to say like who, right?
I would say like power forward, big guy in some fashion.
Okay.
I'll go that route. All right, boys. You want to wrap it up for tonight?
I think they draft. Yeah, I'm with you. I think they draft it.
Okay.
And there's a guy that I will really want. I hope they target. Ooh. They probably won't. I want Tristan Newton from UConn.
Ooh, love that name.
Big guard though, too, right? 6'5", 6'6". Complement the other guys. But you want to talk about bringing a winner in here? Bring me a winner.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. We talk about that with the Eagles. We talk about the Eagles all the time.
Love that name.
Yeah.
Give me guys who won. Know how to
100%.
Win. Absolutely matters.
3 out of 4 this weekend for the Phils.
Well, I'll go 3 out of 4 too. Why not?
I don't look at the schedule, but I'll agree with you.
It's the Marlins.
Oh,
Marlins at home.
I'll go with the sweep.
Let's go, Luke. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
If it was anybody but the Marlins and they're bad, I would say, 4-game sweep.
Good news, though, is I think Jesus Luzardo is on the DL, so we're going to miss him, which is beautiful because he dices us up.
Yeah, he does.
Let's real quick see. I know we're getting out of here, but let me get the pitching matchups real quick. We got Wheeler versus Taylor Rogers, or is that Taylor Rogers? Trevor Rogers. Wheeler, Trevor Rogers tomorrow night. We got Sanchez versus to be determined. Nola versus Munoz, and Suarez versus Chirinos on Sunday.
A real good chance to be.
Definitely can sweep that. Trevor Rogers, especially on the road, does not pitch very well. Roddery Munoz, 24-year-old, probably never seen him before. He's only started one game. No hitter right there. He is no hitting the shit out of us.
Yeah, that's happening. That is definitely happening.
Yeah. Chat, thank you. I know we're getting out of here. Thank you. We almost got to 60 likes. I love that out of you guys. Power that through. If you're still there, power that like button. Get us over 60. Let's go.
Sorry, I was trying to read something.
No, you're good. 58 likes. You guys busted through to get us over 50. Get us over 60. Let's go. Come on.
Come on, get over 60. Get over 100 when it's all said and done. I mean, wake up.
Good, yeah.
I mean, grow up, Peter Pans. Pound the damn like. Let's go. Hit the subscribe. Ain't nowhere to go but here.
All right, there we go. 60. Boys. Boom.
Got her.
Let's go.
Let's
go. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Listen, let's let's go get it this weekend for the Fightins.
Yep.
Let's try to hold out hope until this offseason is sort of finished for the Sixers. And let's hope that Daryl Morey can make the right moves and bring in the right pieces here to get us into the level of the Celtics in any way we can. That's the goal. It might not be great, but it's going to be a great offseason because we're going to find out a lot.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to find out a lot. We're going to have a lot to talk about.
Well, real quick, though, how often, though, have we gone into an offseason where we've had like one or two moves to make, right? Because we've either been so roster stricken, no roster spots or no cap space. Now we like you said, Luke, we should be in on everybody.
Yeah. Yep. But we're not. Classy.
We don't know, Luke. We don't know. We're not.
Let me calm down. Get your Brandon Ingram jerseys ready. Let's get it.
Oh my God. 40 games played, guaranteed.
Thank God Fanatics does the buybacks.
Yep. This has been HTD Wednesday nights.
They probably don't fit anyway.
Oh my God. This has been HTD Wednesday nights. That's Craig Milanovic. That's Luke Brown. Chrome's not here anymore. I guess he went into the pool.
Hey, thunderstorm coming.
Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is coming. Chin says, thank you all for not freaking out about tonight because a lot of fans have, and it's driving me crazy. Yeah, of course, people are just going to snap on it. Like, it might be terrible pick. I don't know. I mean, you're picking 16. So,
skill set's there, though.
Yeah, so we're going to find out. All right, boys. Great show. Thank you to Baggio's, Brad Mellon, and Josie. Go check them out. Hit the like, subscribe, follow if you haven't. Me and Greg and the boys on Agree Disagree will see you Sunday night. And we'll also see you next Wednesday night. We out.
Yeah.